Four more Trojans re-signed the other day from the list, bringing that number up to 40. And if they're re-signed, it means they're going to be playing in the bowl game against TCU, as long as they're healthy. However, there are still a handful of guys, Marvin, who have not, and we're about a week away from that transfer window. That's when it opens up, January 2nd. It's open for 10 days. We're going to talk about that. Players that are coming back, the impact they're going to have, and what does it mean for the players who have not re-signed yet? It's all coming up on this episode of Locked On USC.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone, and welcome to Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is also the #1 sports podcast network. So whether you're watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, we're free, and we appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season with FanDuel, just visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Marvin, I hope you and everyone had a great Christmas. Welcome back. Great way to end the week here. Thank you so much. Hey, 4 more free agency signings. I don't know if you heard. 4 more. The Trojans, they are going to be retaining starting linebacker Desmond Stevens, backup offensive lineman Hayden Trader, backup offensive lineman Erwin Teomi, and also backup linebacker AJ Tuatelli. So out of those 4 guys, one's a starter, the other 3, minimal impact so far. With Desmond's and AJ coming back to play linebacker for USC, now USC has 4 guys in that room who were part of the room last year. Desmond, Jaden Walker, Elijah Newby, who re-signed earlier in the week, and then AJ Tuatelli. So far, USC has lost Matai Tagai. We all watched how Desmond played linebacker in 2025. If we want to just look, if I want to be nice about it, it was a roller coaster ride. It wasn't always great. It wasn't always bad. It was kind of like, whoa, okay, that type of stuff. Sometimes it was just really hard to watch what was going on. I think for me, and you can, or maybe you'll disagree with me, I think the biggest problem at the linebackers position is, especially with Desmond, is they try and play around the defenders rather than that physicality part of it, beating them, going through them. With the bowl game coming up, what can Desmond show you, show me, show everybody in the bowl game that he can be the guy in 2026? Again, he started all of 2025, played all 12 games, started. But again, you didn't see that trajectory, that progression, that development as the season went along. What are you going to be looking for?
Well, listen, if you're going to play the 4-2-5 that we play, then you need 2 linebackers that can really have impact, who are really special players to be able to do that. I don't know that Desmond can show me a whole lot more than what I've seen, because a lot of this is going to be based on the guys in front of him. They matter, you know what I'm saying? So if anything, I'd like to see impact plays. I'd like to see, big plays on first down in the run game, just fitting, hitting the hole. I'd like to see him make plays, on third down, just have impact, just be a guy that's out there flying around. I mean, listen, you can argue that we are linebacker you know what I'm saying? When you look at this, the quality of linebackers we've had in our program, throughout the years. So we're clear as to what the standard is and what it's supposed to look like. And clearly what we've been looking at on defense isn't it. And we all know that. I mean, we're reading about it online. We're hearing about it in all the shows. This is a year where USC has some good linebackers coming in. And we should hope to take advantage of the portal as well. But with Desmond, the big thing for him is he was able to get all these games under his belt. So the experience matters. And I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of how you think he played, the confidence that he's going to have in the coaching that he's received this year, a lot of that stuff, he's going to be thinking about and watching on film. And, you're going to see a better player next year. Now, hopefully, we're looking at a more competitive situation at that position. But for Desmond, man, you just want to continue to grow. It's good that these linebackers are coming back, because at one point, we had one linebacker who had signed, and you didn't know if these guys if we were being outbid. You didn't know if these guys just didn't like the scheme or the defense. You don't know if they didn't like Rob Ryan. You know what I'm saying? Like, sincerely, that's a big factor here, right? So the fact that we have some guys who signed back, that's a good thing, and that speaks well to their belief in what's happening with our defensive situation right now, which that's up in the air. We don't know who's going to be running the show and what our scheme's going to be next year, but they came back anyway. So the money must have been right. What they feel about Rob, that must ultimately be in a very positive place, and it's a good thing. But for Des, man, he needs to continue to get better. A young guy who wasn't a natural linebacker. I think he was a DB who went to linebacker. And again, regardless of what you think he did or what he didn't do, he will be a much better player because he'll play more confident, and that matters. So I want to see him ball. I want to see him just ball out against TCU. Period. That's what I want to see.
Now, look, and you've already touched on it right there. And despite his inconsistencies, he's still, I guess, learning the position. He started all 12 games. He's going to finish first on the team in tackles, and he's going to finish first in solo tackles, and by a wide margin. So, to your point, that he's gained a lot of experience, that could help him and carry over into the 2026 season, and hopefully you see that in the bowl game. That's the perfect place. That's the perfect launching point to carry him into 2026. Now, as far as AJ Tuatele, he played a few snaps last year. He still needs to get bigger. So I look for him to make an impact on special teams, kind of like what Matai did, but he's stepping away from the program. So this is the perfect opportunity for him to be one of those next in line type of guys.
Mm-hmm.
The other linebacker I want to talk about who re-signed earlier in the week is Eli Newby. He's from Connecticut. He's kind of one of those Swiss Army knife type of guys. At least in high school, he was. He played everything: wide receiver, defensive end. I think he even played a little bit of quarterback. The dude played every position. He's that type of athlete. Now, they've tried him at multiple different positions on defense. And I've heard from multiple sources that he just hasn't really been able to pick up a spot yet. They haven't found his strong point yet. Really good player, extremely talented. But I guess we're going to see a lot of him play. He should get a lot of reps at linebacker in this game.
Yeah.
What happens there? Because again, you're returning Desmond, Jayden Walker. We know those two are going to get a lot of action.
Yeah.
What do you look for from Eli Newby in this game?
Mark, look,
backer during the season?
We don't need a Swiss Army knife. We don't need this year Gentry was sold as this 6'4" athletic freak and all that stuff, and and Gentry he'll be invited to an NFL training camp, I'm sure. But really, we don't need that. We need a dog in there. We need a killer in there. We need a dude who's a purebred Mike, Will, Sam. Like, that's what we need. We don't need these. You can keep your 40-yard dash and your vertical jump, and the guy played basketball and ran track. We don't need none of that. We need a dog in there that's gonna take care of the A gap, the B gap is gonna scrape and make plays on the outside. A guy who's gonna play sideline to sideline with his hair on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we need. I'm happy to see that we're bringing back the younger guys because, again, the young guys who weren't ready to play, they're still being developed. You know what I mean? So you don't know what you're going to get until you get them out there. All right. But, I need a guy who's going to be physical, who's going to be violent. I know a Cushion, a Claiborne, McGinnis who played in, but, Junior C. I mean, we need, Zeke Marino. We need them type of dudes. You know what I'm saying? Dudes who, are big, strong, and just going to fill that gap. So listen, when I'm excited about, seeing these guys play in this game because you get to see your young talent, all the guys who are on scout team who didn't get reps, the guys, who were second and third didn't really get reps, the special team guys. You're going to see these guys, in the bowl game, I would think. In bowl practice, they're being prioritized. That's how it used to be. I think that's how it still is. Lincoln was talking about how important it is to have bowl week and have bowl practice because it's 15 extra days that you can work your young guys. 15 practices is a lot of practices, guys, especially at the end of the season when you've if you were a freshman at the beginning of the season, you're not a freshman anymore. You've been through a whole season now. You know what I'm saying? So now you're entering, your next season, and it starts with the bowl prep. So I'm excited to see, who's really stood out in practice at linebacker during the practice week. And I'm excited to see, all these young guys. Hopefully these linebackers get some rotation, get some burn out there, because I want to see, what do we actually have now going into spring ball? Because right now, granted, we want to finish with 10 wins. That, that's not what the standard is, but based on where we are in the process, I'll take that as the next step, especially considering what we've gone through the last couple of years. So just show me these guys are ready to play. Show me these guys are going to play physical. Show me that these guys have been in the oven cooking. You know what I'm saying? And now it's the time to unleash them. So let's see, because the reality is if we don't see what we like in this bowl practice and in this bowl game, we got some dudes coming in, I think who've already signed and are going to be in class in the spring. So, and I know we got some guys that we're going to attack in that portal. Some guys have already announced they're coming out, and there are some linebackers in the portal. So, let's see what the young guys got, man. Let's see what they're doing. I'm optimistic. I'm excited about it. So I'm eager to see this myself.
Yeah, me too. And I don't anticipate a scheme change for the bowl game. But again, you've got the only linebacker who has not re-signed so far, and he came over in the transfer portal last year, was Tamir Robinson from Penn State.
Yeah.
This week should be interesting. I mean, the transfer portal opens on January 2nd. So between, whenever you're watching this episode of Locked on USC, whether it be the day after Christmas or shortly thereafter, and January 2nd, all these players who are left, and I'm using finger quotes, unsigned, they have to make a decision. Are they staying or are they leaving? If Tamir Robinson's not going to be part of the equation, we already know USC's looking for an impact linebacker in the transfer portal. Does that mean they're going to be looking for two? And how many, we're going to be watching the linebacker group, and we're going to talk about the offensive line group in the next segment. There are certain position groups we're going to be watching during the bowl game because there are question marks. So do we go to maybe a more of a 3 linebacker type of set, just so you can get these guys on the field and see what they're capable of doing one more time before you go into the off season and then have to wait for spring camp? So on that note, like I said, we're going to start talking about 5 guys we're going to keep our eyes on, specifically the offensive line, in the next segment. And then the third segment, every Friday, we always end the week with it's a Friday rant, something you want to get off our chest. I got something I'm going to talk about. We'll see what Marvin wants to talk about. All that's coming up next. The NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're actually reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver will get hot. The defense, all of a sudden, it tightens up, or the momentum totally flips after a turnover. When that happens, FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. And if you like to play it big with player prop bets, those are going to update as the guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown scored, the drive results, the totals, a whole bunch more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. Thank you again for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. And also, thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. This little memo here is for my everydayers who like to listen to Locked On USC on their favorite podcast platform. Since you're already living USC every day, living it every 24/7, here's a chance for you to take it up a level. Go ad-free. You can join the Everydayer Club today, and you're going to get Locked On USC with no interruptions. You're going to get the members-only Discord channel, and you're going to get more than that. You can do it all for $5 a month, $50 a year. If you want more information, check out the link in the show's description page for more info. All right, The whole offensive line in the bowl game, Marvin, is going to be under the microscope. Here are the 8 guys we know for sure are returning in 2026. These guys have re-signed. They've made their intentions known. You've got Kalen O'Connor, who was starting at center this year. He won't be playing because he's rehabbing his knee injury. You've got the right tackle, Justin Tauanu. You've got Mr. Everything, Tobias Raymond, left tackle, left guard, right tackle. You've got Ratumana Bulabalavu. You have Kalen Miller, King's brother, who can play all 3 interior spots. You've got, he'll be a second-year player, Willie Washer, center. Hayden Treater, this is a really big dude. And then another big guy, his name is Erwin Taomi. So those are the 8. There's still another 5 guys who have not yet announced. 2 of them were starters. Alani Noah, right guard, 3-year starter, Alani Noah at right guard. 2 of the freshmen, Aaron Dunn and Alex Payne. Starting left tackle, Elijah Page. And then the biggest dude in the room, Elijah Bicona, who can play left tackle or right tackle. Those guys still have to decide what they're going to do. I don't remember seeing Alani at practice last week, okay? Not saying he wasn't there, but I'm not the only person who's saying that either. So we'll see what's going on there. I'm not sure what's up with Noah. Again, 3-year starter. Also not a big school guy. I'm just going to leave it there. Assuming the worst, Noah's gone. Hopefully to the NFL, not pulling another Emmanuel Prayon type of situation. Zach Hansen has dudes he can lean on. They're young, but he's got guys he can lean on. Kalen Miller, Taomi, I think is an Alani Noah clone. He's 6'4", 6'5", 350-pounder roughly. Hayden Trader, 6'6", 320, 330. We're going to see a bunch of these guys playing the bowl game. So here's my question. Offensive line's kind of in flux right now because of injuries and not knowing who's coming, who's going. How much will Jayden Maiava play in that game behind a mixed bag of offensive line?
Yeah, it's a great question because, listen, at the end of the day, you go out there to win the game. You play to win the game, and, that's regardless of who's on the field. Jayden is a different situation just because of the fact that, he means so much to our offense. When you think about, our hopes and our dreams for 2026, they're all attached to him, and the reality is, you should absolutely hear his name early for Heisman buzz. You should hear his name early to be a top pick next year. So get used to that media and that narrative because it's warranted when you consider that he was a top 10 quarterback statistically this year and he's coming back. So, to see Jayden out there the whole game, I don't think that's realistic. I don't know what's happening if Husan, who's our number 2 quarterback right now. If it's Husan, I think you'd like to see him play a little bit. His situation's up in the air right now, it seems like. And then we have Sam Heward, I believe. So it's just I don't know if it makes sense to play him the whole game. The thing about it is this. We got a couple O linemen out. Obviously this year, I think the most underrated unit on our whole team was our O line.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, our quarterback put up great numbers. Our receivers played well, led by Mackay, and we went 3-4 deep into the running back room, and we got great production when you consider that. And the one common denominator, the one thing that keeps all that together is the O line. So I heard earlier this year at the beginning of the season, Lincoln had referenced, that our O line was deep, but we didn't really know it. We didn't really know. We didn't know what that really meant. Is that coach talk? What it may be? And we realized that he was right. He was right. You have to say that because for the guys that went down, for the guys that we were counting on who weren't there, Zach Hansen had them boys ready to play. And for the most part, we had decent O-line play to say the very least. Okay. So I'm impressed with our O-line coach. I believe that we probably do have some guys now that didn't get much reps that are probably decent and ready to go, ready to play, having gone through the whole season, just getting that good work, and especially, getting the work they're going to get in the bowl season. So, I don't want to see Jayden play the whole game, to be honest with you. We don't need that. with that, I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see the additional work in the other guys that Zach's been coaching up that we haven't seen. Again, this is what these bowl games are for. If you're not in the playoffs, I mean, this is really, you do it for the practices, in my opinion. You do it for the opportunity to give these young guys extra reps. So I'm excited to see these linemen, these young linemen, get them swapped out. I'm excited to see, what we're looking at as a foundation going into next year. And when you consider that, we could have 5 starters coming back, plus additional guys who are just getting great practice reps and who are getting bowl reps, that just makes you feel that much better about what we could do offensively next year. Because, again, Jayden is at the center of that. He's back. And we know we got a running back room already just from what's signed. And we're going to have receivers, so we're not worried about that. But yeah, Jayden should go out there, give us a first-half performance, and I'd like to see him sit down in the second half.
Agreed. I don't think he needs to play beyond the first half. The game has no significant meaning other than, again, you want to see win number 10, but of
course
you don't know who's really playing on the offensive line. You don't want to risk your starting quarterback being not being healthy in 2026,
especially considering that TCU is going to have most all their guys. I don't from what I've seen, they're not going through some of this. So I think they're going to have most of their guys. They're going to have a first team defense out there for real.
Well, that we know their first string quarterback isn't playing either. So it's going to be an interesting game. Their starting quarterback, Josh Hoover, is jumping in the transfer portal, a multi-year starter, and he's looking for a bigger payday. So as far as USC is concerned, though, we know Elijah Page won't be playing because of injury. I anticipate him announcing his re-signing. We know Killian O'Connor won't be playing because of his injury, which, again, if we want to protect your quarterback, how long do you want Tobias Raymond playing in this game? Is this basically, are we going to be seeing the backups most of the game on offensive line? And I'm okay with that, as long as everybody understands what the goal is. Get these guys ready to be the backup for the starting 5 next year, who could all be returning. Hopefully.
And guys, listen, granted, there are backups, but, we have guys. I mean, every team has guys on their team. There are depth guys that have been depth guys, but these guys are good enough to play. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm genuinely optimistic, and I'm excited to see these young boys get in there. And trust me, these players, they don't treat it like they're the backups when they're in the game. They understand what the standard is. These guys are going to play hard. The one thing you never want to do is put bad film on tape. You never want to have bad film on tape. So for a lot of these dudes, this is going to be their first opportunity to get some real time potentially, and they're going to be excited. They'll be coached up, and they're going to be ready to go. So I'm excited. And plus, when you look at the rosters and just the talent, we should have a better roster. We should have a more talented roster. So that should show up, as you look at these depth pieces.
Without a doubt. I mean, I can see at some point during the game where you're going to have 5 guys in front, protecting the quarterback, opening up holes for the running back or running backs, who people are going to go, who's that? Well, that's a freshman at left tackle. That's Kalen Miller at one interior spot. That's Hayden Trader, another redshirt guy at another interior spot. That's Willie Washer at center. That's Justin Tawanu at right tackle. It literally could be a makeshift offensive line, and that's why I asked you initially, how long do you want to leave Jayden Maiava back there, just in case, he trips over something and gets hurt. So, again, it should be fun. The bowl games, especially now, this is what they've been relegated to. They are kind of like a tryout performance. It's an opportunity to use this as a competitive spring game to show the coaching staff what you can do. And I say that because not many teams hold spring games anymore. So,
and for those who don't know, these bowl practices, they're putting pads on. I mean, that's how it was when I played. This is almost like going to training camp. So it's kind of like a renewing. It's almost like the bowl is treated like a new season almost. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have real practices, physical practices. They're going to take it back to August, July training camp mentality for a few practices and get these guys really tuned up because they've been off for a while, and that matters too.
Absolutely. Okay, one more segment to go before we wrap up this week. College football, it's changed, Marvin. Have you noticed? I think it's changed too quickly. I'm going to tell you why in the next segment. And that's my rant. We'll see whatever you want to talk about. If you don't have anything, I get it.
I got something to say.
All right. It's all coming up next. There is nothing like the college football season. You've got the tailgates, the packed stadiums. You're right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments that you remember forever. But actually, you know what you don't like to remember, what you like to go through? Getting tickets. That part used to be frustrating. You had the long queues. You would be logged in. All of a sudden, you'd log out. You got to log back in. Then you got the price jumping at checkout. That's why Gametime gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences, and you can do it in just a few taps. You'll love being able to see the view from your seat before buying, and you're going to know exactly what you're getting before you check out. They have zone deals. These things really stand out. You pick the section, Gametime picks the seats, you save even more. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms will apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Get it done. All right. College football has changed way too fast for me. I'm slowing down in my old age. I used to be able to, run the 40 in a 4.6 something. Today it's more like a 6.4 something. You got the transfer portal, the super conferences, the playoffs without any sense of right or wrong, who belongs and who doesn't. You got players who are getting paid. All this came together like a perfect storm. I mean, literally, it all came together at one time. Out of conference games are being dumbed down because teams are afraid of losing more than than challenging themselves. You have teams opting out of bowl games after winning 10 games in a season. You have starting quarterbacks who are opting out of bowl games in order to try and get a bigger paycheck. Marvin, I'm literally afraid that bowl games are going to be toast here sooner rather than later. Think about that. A world where there are no bowl games because no one wants to play in them at all. It's going to kind of remember when the NIT used to be the tournament in postseason basketball? It's gone. It's done. It doesn't even exist anymore. I have a feeling that's the way bowl games are going. What's happened to college football? Is it going to get to a point where fans are just going to say, there's no difference between this and the NFL? Why should we care?
Yeah, I think everything you're saying is real, and I agree. As an old school guy, this thing is evolving so fast. The reality is this. With NIL is 50 years behind. If you ask me, I don't have a problem with that. I think they need to make players honor their contracts. Transfer portal, I don't have a huge problem with that. With guys, any other student at the school can leave for any reason they want to. Why are you picking on football players? But I do think there should be guardrails around the transfer portal. You shouldn't be able to leave every year. There's the idea of having to re-sign every year. Re-signing every year is crazy. I don't mind you signing a deal. I don't mind you getting no money. But there should be some type of stability for that student athlete in regards to the student athlete portion of it.
Did you see what happened with that Baylor basketball player, that young man who's coming back to college after being a pro for a few years?
Right.
And he's getting 4 years of eligibility.
Yeah, they got to clean that kind of stuff up. Yeah. Listen, if you want to talk about what's changing too fast, Mark, let's go back to our last show. Okay. Listen, Mark, I went 3-1 against Notre Dame. My dad went 3-1 against Notre Dame. For as long as I can remember, I always thought that Notre Dame was part of our identity and who we are. Listen, people, if you've watched this show long enough with me as a guest on here, you should know that I absolutely support Lincoln Riley, and I'm excited about what he's doing and where we're going. I am excited about Jen Cohen. I mean that. I'm so excited about her. And our GM, Chad Bowden, forget about it. I mean, we got the best in the business. they should have never left the room without a deal for Notre Dame getting done. Period. I don't care about we're bound down to them. They want their cake and eat it too. They should have never left the room without getting the deal done for us to play Notre Dame. I don't care what the streak is. The streak, they go back and forth. Okay, they've been going back and forth for the last 50 years. That's just what it is. Okay. Listen, I'm really all about evolving. If that's what people want to do, if this is where we're at, that's all good. But man, I'm still heartbroken over that. The people in the comments had a lot to say about moving forward, but I just, as a Trojan, as the son of a Trojan, as somebody who goes back and thinks about the great Howard Jones and all the people we've had, and John McKay, and then all the coaches and players who've come, after that, and guys who've played and been a part of that series, it is heartbreaking. I don't know of any former player that is happy about this. Anybody, and you don't have to be a player, for me to care, but the guys on the field who are putting in that work, who are taking them shots and having them surgeries and going through that pain and in practices, they want Notre Dame. We want Notre Dame. Okay. With that said, hey, they say the people who can't evolve are the ones who lose out. So I don't want to be one of them. It's a new day. I get it. Janet and Lincoln and Chad, they felt differently. I don't agree with that, but I tell you what, I love everything else that's happening with our program. I do. I'm a proud Trojan. I'm a Trojan's Trojan. Should have never left the room without the deal getting done, Mark. That's my rant.
I hear you. I echo those sentiments. Two things can be true at the same time. You can support Lincoln Riley. You can support Jen Cohn. You can support the program.
And I do.
The trajectory of the program, Chad Bowden, everything that's going on. You can like 99.9% of what's going on and so vehemently disagree with that other 0.1% because, and it's probably bigger than that, but you understand my point I'm making, because of everything we've been talking about just on this episode alone, with the transfer portal, the bowl games losing their relevancy. If the playoffs are going to be the end all be all, we've got to make sure we're still giving the regular season meaning to it. It can't just be a bunch of, well, we got to win 10 games and they all have to be in our conference, so we can't take any risk, and we got to throw tradition out with the bathwater. We got to get rid of USC Notre Dame. We got to get rid of Oklahoma State. Those types of things should not have to be thrown away because it poses a risk to adding another loss to the schedule. Tell you what, let's write it in there somewhere. Make the college football playoff selectors say, you know what? If you have two teams that are willing to play each other from other conferences, that's not a strike against you. And even if you lose late in the season, either get rid of the conference championship games. I don't know. For me, it's just weird that certain teams, there's certain situations that you kind of look past to allow other things to happen. And there's no reason why you can't play 9 conference games and still schedule one out of conference game against a big time program. And why should that count against you? Why should that count against you? And if we're going to a 16-team playoff format, which I think we are eventually, even more so, more so, out of conference games, if they don't matter, play them. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No, I hear you. Listen, that needs to be addressed as well. I completely agree with you. Listen, Mark, at the end of the day, it's not a sport, it's a business. So if it's going to make money, they're going to do it. So 16 games, of course we're going to have 16-game playoffs. You know how much money they're going to make from that? In sponsors and ads. And I mean, are you kidding me? The money is exploding.
So what if, again, you don't make the playoffs, but you're not filling your stadium against marquee games. USC fans don't show up for Missouri State, Georgia Southern. They just don't. Let's just be honest about it. They show up for Notre Dame. They show up for well, it used to be Ohio State. It used, those types of games. You don't want to see those anymore at the Coliseum? Is that what USC fans are saying?
Yeah.
I don't care who they come against. I'll watch it on my, 60-inch screen at home.
It's different, Mark. It's different when you're in Auburn and Tuscaloosa and Tallahassee. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. If you live in LA, you got a million options, and that's a selling point. That we tell recruits. We're trying to flip that narrative. But you have so many. You're competing against so much in LA, so it's a different deal. And even with that, I mean, when USC's on, it doesn't matter that you're in LA. When USC's on Pete Carroll days, I mean, they're going to show up. They're going to show up in droves. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, Mark, I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you're saying.
Hopefully we can, we can slow this process down a little bit. Hopefully we'll put some adults in the room that understand what's going on and say, hey, let's not, we're a zebra. Let's not try and change our stripes. We know what we are. Let's make sure we maintain who we are. Let's not try and turn ourselves into something else. And that's where it's going right now. The tail is wagging the dog.
Well, I'll tell you what, man.
That way.
I tell you like this, you're worried about changes and all this stuff. I'm proud of the fact that we haven't gone the Oregon route with all the 1,000 uniform changes, this, and that. I'm proud of the fact that, we don't have names in the back of the jerseys. But at this point,
in
the day of NIL, specifically name, image, likeness, first thing being name, all that's coming. I haven't heard anything at all, but it is inevitable. So I tell myself, this proudness that I have of, keeping the uniforms the way they are and no names in the jerseys, it's inevitable, y'all. It is inevitable, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see.
If they ever run out there in a black uniform,
it's coming. It's coming. It's inevitable.
I can hear the booze raining down right now. I can hear it happen.
Hey, something? Times are changing. It is. Again, no one's told me that. I haven't heard that, but I'm looking at the landscape and I'm seeing it, and it makes sense. Not that I like that, but yeah, at some point, one of these players are going to demand. They're going to want that kind of stuff, man. They're going to want their name in the back of their jersey. So 98% of college football does it. It's the norm. Us, Penn State, I think Notre Dame and a few others. We're one of the few weirdos who don't do names in the jerseys, and I love that. Because it's team, it's Trojan, it's one. You know what I mean? But it's
not anymore. Not anymore. Like you said, it's all about the Benjamins. Pay me, show me the money.
And guys,
show me the money.
And I'm not mad at them boys getting their money. But they need guardrails. They need to honor the contracts.
Like you said, it's 50 years behind itself, and everybody's trying to catch up those 50 years in 5 minutes. And it's just like, you know what? Slow down. Yeah. Stop. Just slow down.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're done. We'll be back again next week with Marvin. You'll be here, right? So
if you have me, yes.
You know it. We'll see what's going on. I will be in San Antonio next week for a few days. So until that next episode of Locked On USC, you know what to do, folks. Put those fingers out.